can you tell us how you feel your way of looking at things helped people in those times that were unemployed?
People who were on the dole could afford it, you know,
right.
At a fair price.
Yeah.
And so we just bartered whatever we had in Westport for whatever we wanted. And because we had such a good response with the coal, exchanging coal in Christchurch, we got more back than what we needed.
So what did you use that money for that you got?
Okay, now by then we started up a charitable trust.
What did you call that charitable trust?
The Buller Unemployment Centre Charitable Trust.
Okay. And what did that set off for you? What chain of events that got set off by you doing that?
That means we had to go out and get it, you know.
Get the coal.
To bag the coal, and then we found by then the cement works became they were supportive of us. That the big boss, or whoever was in charge down there, he offered us up to 5 ton of free cargo to wherever the cement boats went.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So all we had to do was figure out where those boats went. And one of them, and we knew that on their rounds around the whole of the North Island, they stopped in Auckland, right?
Right.
Now, we knew Auckland had a whole lot of things that we could get from them, and we also had one of the people that were unemployed. He had an uncle who ran one of the big the food growers thing up in Auckland, and we asked them what would they need that they can't get, and you know what it was? Tomato steaks for their tomatoes.
And what were the steaks usually made out of? Manuka.
Well, I don't know what they used, but that was their thing. So we said, what about Manuka steaks? And they really loved it. So we went and chopped bundles and bundles of Manuka and sent them up to the market gardens. And they gave us produce that always came back with too much. But we always
bartering system.
You didn't get it free, like the unemployed. Once it come back to the centre, we sold it to the members with 10% of the proceeds, with 10% of the total going back into the trust, right?
Yes.
And we always ended up with crate loads we couldn't get rid of. So we used to just stick them outside the door and put a free sign on, a big sign saying.
And this is in the main street of Westport, isn't it? And what was the warehouse used to be? What was it used to be used for?
I wouldn't have a clue. It was just that at the time when we realised we needed a bigger premises, we looked at the warehouse and rented it.
Right.
And it became the main, you know. And before I go any further too now, you could imagine whatever we had or our expertise, and like I said, with the unemployed, there was a lot of people that were qualified to do everything from digging ditches to building skyscrapers. That after time, we actually turned that into contracting. And again, contracting our labour in lieu of what we wanted. So, especially when we started building, renovating our warehouse, that's how we got all our packs of timber. And so was the same with when we needed concrete. Mike will see, a few of the guys would go and help do the work, whatever the cement works wanted, and they'd give us bags of cement. So we just did that all the time. And then when we did start at concrete, one of our first biggest contracts was painting a school wall. It was
concrete
the
blocks.
name of the school. It was the whole grounds of a concrete thing, because it was near the ocean. So you had this huge wall, and that was one of the first real jobs we did for money.
On the West Coast?
Yeah. And what we did was, we took the contract out for 2 weeks, and we got it. And what we did, instead of just sending people out to paint the brick wall, because we had kids, we all went out. We packed the picnic lunch, took the kids, all the kids with us, and then just took turns painting the wall, while those that weren't painting the wall were playing with the kids. They had a ball, they were just playing around with the kids. And it was just like a big picnic. And what the school used to see was just everybody running around in the field and nobody doing any work. But I think we cut that out in about 5 days. And that was the beginning of our contracting for our labour. And with most of the jobs, that's what we did. We didn't just send a carpenter out to do the work, People went with them.
Extra labour.
Made a good,
Get the job done faster.
It became more fun than work.
That's right. And there were people who actually genuinely needed work to feel better about themselves, contributing to society.
Yeah. Hated us. Yeah.
Because you were challenging the society as it were, the way it was.
Yeah.
And you found other ways to do it with very little effort.
Yeah.
And you had always had the people in mind.
Well, yeah.
Always the people. You didn't have
people.
some highfalutin kind of design to become better yourselves and become powerful people. You were just wanting to enable people to become powerful within themselves.
Yeah. Just helping people help themselves. That we either, and of course, here's an example. Like when we finished renovating out the warehouse, we needed carpet, right? So instead of just going to a carpet factory, we went to Christchurch and went straight to see the boss, the big boss of, what were they called?
Bremworth or something like that?
No, it was
one of those famous Christchurch wool companies, are they?
Yeah, carpet making companies.
Yes.
We went, oh no, no, we just come from Westport. And of course, word would get through. And because people were so curious to see these people who were just, we didn't dress up. We just went as we were.
Exactly.
We were clean. We clean clothes, but we didn't put on. Yeah, that they were just so curious to see us that they'd open the doors. And the same thing when we started working with the government, because the government, other governmental departments and everybody started hearing what we were doing with the unemployed, which seemed to be, working, that they liked what we were doing. And it wasn't long before we were flying to Parliament, going up to Parliament, and just walking in and just saying, oh, can we see? And they'd let us in.
Yeah.
So
because the story of what you were doing went far afield.
Oh yeah. And by then other people too. See, not just the people in Westport. We started getting people that were travelling through or on holiday checking out this place called, an unemployment centre. And then we had other people. And in fact, one of our big things was Sue Bradford.
Yes.
She was living in Wellington.
Yes.
And she was, before she got into Parliament, I think they were trying to set up something. But she heard about us. She flew down to see what we were doing. And we went to help her set up the Unemployment Central in Wellington.
Wow.
Yeah. On
We've got that on record now. That you helped Sue.
Yeah.
Through your rather innovative initiatives.
Well, yeah.
You weren't holding them close to your heart. You were actually, every time an opportunity came, you shared it.
And another thing that happened, because, word was getting around, we were getting calls from other places, other towns, other cities. Please come and help us set up. So we would travel. We would take 2-3 van loads and go. And just, go and help them with these centres.
No, that's fantastic. I mean, not many politicians have that kind of ability to share in this way, and it's a community way of thinking. Some people would call it communistic, but I don't think so. I think you're coming from your hearts and wanting the best for all people.